We'll just call the meeting to order at, what was it, 2:07 p.m. Roll call, Kramer,
Here.
Ferguson,
Here.
Kuntz, here, Harris,
Here.
Service, absent. I'd like to thank the other attendees for showing up today. Let's see, no
This is
motion.
January 16th for the recording.
Yeah, January 16th. So no call for changes on the agenda because this is just a work session. I mean, conflict of interest, we're not really going to make decisions, so I don't know that applies here. So first item on the agenda for the work session is the sewer rate increase, and we're going to look at the Waterworth model.
You want a motion to accept the agenda then?
No motions in work session.
No, town business. Like your regular functions is okay. Follow an agenda, just no town business decisions.
Oh, okay. All
But
right,
I'd make a motion to accept it as presented.
all right. Shannon makes a motion. No, we can't do any
You
motions?
don't need any motions for
Yeah.
anything, it's just all discussion.
You don't have to
That's-
accept the
that's
agenda
what I
or
thought
adjourn
too.
the meeting?
No, you do not.
Nothing?
No,
No.
just an agreement amongst each other that if you want to
Why'd you
add,
make me do all that extra work then for 10 years?
we figured this out after the fact.
Oh,
Plus,
I
municipal
see.
league has changed
A lot of
over that
things,
period.
a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Since you were on there, the open meeting laws,
Uh-huh.
they've changed that whole format to where work sessions are just an open forum.
I
And
thought you
those
still had to
decisions
do
can be
your-
done. Before,
your
we've had to
housework.
follow that precedence,
Yeah.
so they've changed all of that.
Well, good.
All right,
So, in our next work session, we don't need item
The
B in there.
surcharge separate ALT.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a
alright.
discussion.
You can have the review, I guess, to talk about, but you don't need the motion.
Correct.
Yep.
2B would come off next time.
Okay, so does everybody have a copy of the presentation that wants one? I think we're also gonna put it up here too. Everybody? No?
You need one? Yeah.
No, Leo?
I don't need it. Got an extra. I'll use it.
Okay, so, I'll just read the, description page that's, looks like it's slide 3. Brief overview of Waterworth. Waterworth is a software platform that empowers local governments to achieve financial sustainability by balancing affordability and intergenerational equity through continuous revenue management. What is continuous revenue management? Maintaining an always updated financial forecast, providing elected officials with ongoing actionable financial insights. This presentation includes visualizations of the wastewater fund's trajectory developed by Terry, Toby, Anthony, and Kel for your review and discussion. The upcoming slides feature graphs comparing revenues and expenses. Any years where expenses exceed the revenues, it indicates a deficit, while revenue bars exceeding the background expenses demonstrates a surplus. So expenses. So you want to pull up the,
Do you want me to go through what each of these colors and bars and everything means for everyone?
okay, you want to just, okay,
I
we
can
can do
shut them
that
on.
first.
I can shut them on and off. So
Okay, well, so this page here is towards the back of your packet. Which one, well, financial model.
okay, so let's start with that.
No, he's actually in Waterworth.
Which one's you on?
He's in Waterworth itself.
I'm
so
in
he's-
Waterworth.
Yeah.
You
And
want-
that's our
yeah.
scenario, right, Terry? Surcharge separate ALT.
I think so.
Want to see all the scenario?
So it's the one that looks kind of like this. There's two of them back there. And so the second one, it says the solution. So that includes the surcharge and the 10% increase. And then the one right behind it,
That's
this
right
one,
here.
as it says on the top of the graph, is the
Nothing in the-
total forecast assuming no rate adjustments. So that's where we would end up if we don't make any changes today, or in the future.
Yeah. So, let me just explain to everybody what all these things are. So, it starts with this black line. So this black line, and you can see on the left, it's 2022 is the start of our data, and then we go all the way out to 2032 now. Obviously, I can change how far we go out, and I can make this 10-year projection, I can make it a 20-year projection, you know, I can do whatever. So, and then you can see it goes out even farther. We do the 10-year projection because all the action happens in the 10 years. And so that black line represents our bank account, basically, where our bank account is. So it's called our cash position. And so as you can see in 2022, that's our cash. This is just wastewater, right? Just sewer. There's a whole other graph that's for water. So each utility has its own fund. And so now we're talking about the sewer fund. And so starting out at the 350,000, roughly a little over that, maybe that's 375. And then as we get down to 2023, it goes down to 125, let's say. Actually, I can tell you exactly because she'll tell me. So 366, 488 down to 132, 061, 144, 546. Now we're into projections, right? 448. 546, and then if we don't do anything, it just starts going down, down, and once you hit this black line, you're in the negative, right? So once you're here, you're in the negative. So this is without doing any changes.
So that jump is loans?
Yeah, so now we can look at the different other colors. So let's talk about when we run the sewer system. So when we run the sewer system, we have operating expenses. That's what this blue is. And so operating expenses, this is how much it costs for us to operate the system. It includes electricity bill, employees, everything is chemicals, everything associated with testing at the lab, everything associated with that. And you can see in here, I'll be able to show you all the different breakdown. But operating expenses, you can see it starts at 181,000, 101,000, 112, and just starts to. As you can see, there's always going to be a steady rise because interest or inflation is built into this. We have, I think, a 3.5% inflation rate. So that's going to constantly rise. So that alone is something that we have to overcome with our rates because our rates need to at least track inflation. Now we talk about current debt. So we have a little bit of current debt. You can see it right there. And that just it gets added onto the operating expenses. And that amounts like 4,218. That's what is that? That's some kind of like USDA or something.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's an old loan that's gonna it carries on. I don't know why that's.
Can
Yeah,
I
they're
ask
like
a
40 years.
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why were we making such good money in 22? What happened in 23 that brought us so close to our,
Yeah. So the
Like
next
a
thing
pump
is
and haul.
sale of services. So this is our revenue coming from our billing, these gold bars. So that's what we're bringing in
For our building?
for billing. That's our users.
Oh, billing.
Yeah, the
Gotcha.
the sewer bill, yep. And that's what's coming in for the sewer bill. Other revenue, that could be maybe tap fees or something like that. Developer contributions, you have some here, developer contributions that are projected. Then non-operating revenue, you see you have a big amount here, which whatever that non-operating revenue is, I have to look at it. Grants, so that's what's causing that rise right there. So that you have to account for a grant that we receive,
Right.
so that increases our bank account statement artificially. And then borrowed funds. Borrowed funds is money coming in, but then of course we spend it, right? So money comes in from a loan, gets deposited in our bank account, and then we spend it on the projects. That's still considered revenue. But then when we have capital improvements, this green one, that's what they call the Christmas tree. That's what spends the red. So the red is what we get from the bank, and the green is what we spend on our project. And the reason they look different is because we get an immediate influx of,
Well, it's kind of a
like a
wash,
deposit.
really,
Yeah,
to
it's
what
a
we're
wash.
looking at here.
A little bit of a wash, right, right. But then you're left with the proposed debt service, which is this turquoise, okay? So the turquoise is added as soon as we took out the loan. That turquoise, which is our proposed debt service, is our payment. So we're taking this big red and we're spreading it out over many years, which is the turquoise. And so the other thing is surcharges. I don't think we have any. If they are, they're small. And so the last two items are these dotted lines. The dotted lines are for us to help make decisions by determining what's called our reserve policies. And so usually you have two reserve policies. One is your operating threshold, that's your bottom. So you really want to stay above the operating threshold. That gives you that buffer that you need so you don't get too close to zero. And there's a way to calculate that in number 7 here, which is or 6, I'm sorry, our reserve policies, and I'll show you that later. And then the other one is our cash position target, and that one's above our threshold. And that one is also calculated based on, we really don't want to be collecting too much money because that means we're overcharging people, right? So we want to hover somewhere between those two lines. Now, in my experience with this software, these two lines that I see here are too close together. They should be spread out farther because it's hard to meet those two. You need to allow for fluctuations. So we'll probably have to look at our reserve policies in the future, but.
Does that reserve our 110%, like it is in water? That will be with our SRF loan?
No, so our reserve policies are here. They're calculated based on these criteria. So our operating threshold's that red dotted line, and that's basically, they recommend, right here, policies calculated, working capital, 25% would be 3 months of expenses. Industry recommends 16 to 33, so we put 33%. And it says
It's
your
just a
operating
reserve,
contingency, and I can actually change this right now. Policy calculated chooses, industry recommends 5 to 10% of OpEx. So we didn't put anything here, we should put 10. It doesn't affect anything, it's just, these dotted lines are just kind of guidelines.
Right.
They don't affect any of our model. And then rate stabilization, this is arbitrary. You can put something in here that would help to stabilize rates. In other words, you're collecting a small amount that you don't need to peck at the bill, right? Because nobody likes to see it changing all the time. People like to see stability, that they can count on X amount of dollars a month. So when your cable bill goes up by $30, you're like, why are they screwing me on my cable bill, right? So you don't want to be having a big rate fluctuation or changes in your rate all the time. So that's what this does, is gives you a way to you could put some cushion in there, but they don't have any recommendations, so we left it 0. Then general policy, this is also just another one. Now the capital reserve, so they don't give you percentages in this and automatically calculate it. It's based on like, what would you, if you had something major go on, what would you want that to be? So for example, this is a sewer, right? And one of the major things that went on, and we should change this right now, is we had to pump and haul. So when we had to pump and haul the hot springs, it cost us $150,000. So above the threshold position, we should be holding we should be trying to target somewhere in $150,000 above the threshold position in case something like that ever happened, right? It's a doomsday scenario, right, with that black dotted line. You hope you never need it, right? That you just kind of stay above the dotted red line.
Like kind of, is that,
And the other two are just other policy capital things, and that's where like the software company could say in their experience, you know, how they use these number 4,
Just
number
different
5, or number 7, number 8 to help stabilize rates. These are just guidelines, these dotted lines. You wanted to know about, well, let's see what these revenue. So here's our different revenue streams, and so you can see they're categorized here. We select the category. So if it's sale of sewer service, that's how much we're bringing in annually, or charges.
capital contributions?
Charges for goods and services. And why is that zeroed out? That's an
Yeah,
interesting,
maybe that's- you don't have to-
see, there's a 0 blocking it from projecting.
Is that because you're just looking at the current? They're not looking at?
There's probably a reason, I'm sure it's not a mistake. Other operating revenue, let's look at sales service, right here, sewer operating revenue, and you see it's got your, I would call it BSNA codes, but whatever your buildings, your software code, 604, 101, so that comes from your software code, so those are real numbers. So this must be a one-time influx, this 108.
Was that like selling pipe or?
Something happened here that brought in 108,266, but then this line here that's going across, this is the total that we bring in
That's the
from sewer
operating.
billing from the users, and that's the code for it. Then you have the any kind of DOT 1 surcharge revenue, so whatever that is, some kind of revenue
There's
from DOT.
$2.50 surcharges right now.
Okay, so they're on the bill.
Yeah.
And then, so then here, for example, SRF Lagoon Expansion, 350. We actually know it's now 373.
So don't we need to
Claw
check
back.
mark all those?
They clawed back to $2,095 because our contractor came in under budget.
Yeah.
So the state clawed back $2,000 of our grant because we were less than we came under budget. You think you get rewarded for that, but anyways. So this is actually 73350. Oh, okay, this is supposed to be 700.
700, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
that's what-
Let's leave that, that's correct. So I don't see the
We don't
grant.
have that one in there.
There's no grant in here?
Because I don't think we knew that.
What is
when we
this
were-
600? Oh, that's the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Here it is. It's Lagoon Expansion Grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. So now, go back here. Still, we got a problem in 2028. But that's where you get your revenue from. Operating expenses, you can see all the codes here. This is wages, payroll taxes, insurance, contract, professional fees. All this stuff comes from the software, the accounting software that we have. And so that's accounted for in that operating expenses, the blue color. Let's look at the borrowing scenarios. So these are our debts basically. We've got a couple old rural development loans that are carrying on. It stops, we're only projecting out to 10 years, and I'm not going to change it, but you would see that these would drop off at a certain point when you look at the 20-year. Let's see, we're only looking at 10-year here too. Let's see, 20 years. See, okay, that one drops off in 2036. This one carries on still. It's like pegged at 5079.
Does that mean the payment's gonna double in 2033?
Something. It's $85,000 is the principal. But anyway, those are loans. We'll have to see if that exists on this one.
So like paying it back smaller in the first 10 years than the next 10 and the next 10, so that you can grow into larger payments or something?
No, I mean, this line is just related to this particular loan, the Rural Development Loan 2, Water and Sewer 50/50 split. It was a 30-year loan, 85,000 to 4.25%. And then normally the software would just calculate out the payment. But if you when you close your loan, you get an amortization schedule. So then you manually put that in because your amortization schedule is calculated a little bit differently than just a straight like online calculator would do.
It's gonna be similar though. And you can use either one when you're doing projections. These other ones are actually lines that are not being used. Let me go back to status quo. So like principal loan drops out in a lot of these drop out in 2025. Then you have the SRF loan right here, 700,000. And then the wastewater treatment plant, 600,000. So these are the payments. And they're pretty short loans as well. So they end in 2032. So that's kind of that's kind of the driving force. So as you can see, these are small numbers. It's these bigger numbers that add up, that are 10 times those numbers, that we need to get to that point where our debt's paid off, right? So that's where we're discussing, that's what's driving that black line down, is that this area up until 2033 there is driving it down because it's not bringing in enough to cover the service, right? And so what we've calculated is when you go to the actual surcharge and we look at revenues. So where's our where do we put it in borrowing scenario? Is this not the active one? Latest. This one's pretty old, October.
Yeah.
It's gotta be this one.
That's what it has.
Okay, sewer operating revenue. Wait a minute, isn't there a,
There's amounts in the surcharge, it's just not check marked.
yeah, well, check just means,
It's included in your debt service.
enables
That's
to
what it's
include
doing
this
though, isn't it?
revenue in total operating revenue,
It's paying off your
calculating
debt
debt
service.
service, okay. So, well, that's a DOT surcharge revenue. Other operating revenue, sales service. And is that number matching,
The other bath and water.
is that matching your numbers there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at the right model.
Mm-hmm.
So this number right here, 117 or 111, 717, 2023, 113, 2024, and this is where these increases are happening, right? So this is where we're bringing in more revenue because of the surcharge. I thought I remember when we did this that we put in the definition here, like how much it was.
Yeah, that remember.
Did that get taken out? Or?
I don't know. Was it a different model that they were doing that on?
No, this looks like these are all the models. So
Up there it
Here's the
says
rate
no
this time.
notes. Is that an option you can turn back on? To
Oh, yeah.
give you your notes up there?
let's go back. Where'd you see that?
Up
We
on the
have
blue
those.
banner, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is different than what we saw last time. So while he's doing that, if you go and look in, at the end, in the scenarios, 10% increase in fiscal year '25. And look at that graph, that shows when we implement the 10% increase in 2025, and we add the, I think it's a 1680 surcharge,
1675?
1675 surcharge.
Or what,
That's
no,
option
1280 is what was already approved.
Yeah, well, 1280 is approved, but this that's assumed in here too, right? So that we need,
That says on there that it
Yeah.
is.
yeah, so it already includes that. But does it include the 16?
Um,
Because the last time we looked at the model with them, they included both of them in order to
So
get
this
this.
one says 1675.
Yeah.
But this one just says 10% increase, which also includes the 1280.
So is that only the 10% increase? Let's look at the numbers here.
Because this is the revenues.
They didn't mark down if the surcharges on there. Oh, here they are, right here. Yep, so that assumes that the lagoon surcharge is gonna kick in 2027. So I guess that's only for the treatment plant surcharge starting in 25. And,
So the 16 and the 1280 are the two that are kicking in now.
For the sewer, yes.
And then the surcharge for the completion of the lagoon will be 27, or will that be 26?
Where's this?
well,
Because you'll be completed this year, 25.
yeah, my understanding was that the 1280 that was already approved
Yeah.
was for the lagoon expansion.
Correct.
But in this model, they say they don't have that lagoon surcharge being implemented until 2027 for some reason. But,
Because we didn't implement the 1280, only because we hadn't taken the funds and we were going through everything. All
yeah,
the nightmares with DA and R.
so,
We can implement it 2 years earlier in the model, it might change.
right, yeah, so we need to talk to them about that. However, let's just go back and look at the graph there. So you can, if you follow the solid black line, that's the cash position. And so this one does not include the 1280 until 2027, I don't think, according to the numbers over here. So if we implement the 1675 and the 10% increase,
10% will be
10% base rate increase,
of what the rate is today.
yeah, so it's like an extra $3 or something like that. And then that'll get us to, it'll maintain our cash position. And so, you know, by the time 2027 rolls around, and on this model, the other surcharge kicks in, but, you know, to me, it'd make more sense to have that surcharge kick in earlier because we're gonna have to start servicing that debt sooner, right? So,
So you're thinking to do the 1280, the 1675, and the $3 now would be the smarter option.
So like $30 per person per month.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, we'll have to,
31.
I'm not sure why because when we were discussing this, on the call, it sounded like they were saying we're gonna, because we wanted to assume that the 1280 was already implemented, because since it was already approved, we were just gonna add it right now. But I don't see that in the numbers here. So we need to verify with them that what I'm thinking now is actually the scenario. Because if we can add the 1280 automatically in 2025, then,
And should.
yeah, but,
Well, and that's what this says.
And it'll lower
10%
the per-
increase, and so the 1280 is included.
so it does include it? Well, why does it have the
Why
lagoon
doesn't-
surcharge in
Yeah.
2027 then? What, do you
So
know what
is
that
that-
is? Do you happen to know what that is, Anthony? We're looking at the debt payment details at the, kind of at the very
Is it
end.
because there's 2 years on the SRF, you get 2 years of interest?
Is that what it
Isn't that
is?
what it, you don't
Oh.
actually start paying it?
You don't have a
Yes, you have
payment
2
for
years
You don't have
of
a payment
interest.
those first 3
Yes,
years.
yes.
That's
2 years
what
of
it is.
interest only payment.
Oh, okay.
So it's-
So then we're gonna have to do an additional lagoon surcharge in 2027 then.
But if we're starting to collect now, we should
Yeah, we
have that
should
in
have-
reserve to
No,
cover
you
it
would have
when
it
it
already.
starts.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need
Because you need to
increase.
maintain your 110%.
Right,
Whenever you come into that. But if you're gonna do your 3% yearly now from every year, you're also gonna gain that to help keep that balance.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why they show a lagoon surcharge kicking in 2027, starting out at 40 and then increasing from there.
I think the model should be updated to show it
Yeah.
in 25, because we're gonna start collecting it, and then it'll go into a holding fund basically until your payments start 2 years
Because if
later.
you're at the 3255 now, because you've also added the Apple Springs, so you need to have this implementation now.
Well, and also 2 years of saving on that will gain you monthly interest
Okay, yeah, so let's
as well.
take
That's gonna
a,
make a
take
huge
a half
difference
this-
after 2 years of all
Right.
those.
so the Apple Springs one, that is the 1675 surcharge is to cover that debt. So that's the one that we're looking at implementing
Yeah,
in early 25. And I think, was it Toby that recommended ASAP?
Well,
Or the,
because you're gonna start paying on your mortgage in 2 months.
yeah,
yeah, so you need to do that now.
yeah, so in the red here though, it says that it includes the 1280 surcharge already in the model, so. Well, I'm gonna have to talk to them and get some more clarification and see what exactly is in there. But if we just go by the 1280s in there already, and we pass a 1675 and a 10% increase in January 25, then this is the projection here. So then, if you check the solid black line, then our cash position will be maintained, and we should be good, so,
Now,
Is that the
are
solution page?
yep.
Approved
So-
lagoon expansion?
you
So this-
looked at any other development, user fees as far as we referenced with the Preston development at one point where you're going to do
Yeah, this
double
has,
tap fees so you can help offset some of that?
right, so since we don't know what that's gonna be, it's obviously gonna be something, but we don't know what the rate of that will be. I think we assumed a very conservative population increase of what, 1.5%?
1.52, yeah.
Yeah,
So we're
So-
not
so
taking,
that's
we're
how
not
you're gonna-
leveraging that, no, we're not.
And that's why, to me, and this is me, I mean, these new developments are putting that extra added pressure on our infrastructure, and that's why we talked about the Preston infrastructure, and/or now Carriage Hills will be coming February, March. That, to me, instead of the $1,000 tap fee, it should be with the added infrastructure pressure in the Apple Springs and $2,000 tap fee on these new developments, helping to offset some of that extra pressure put on to our developments. That way, you're still keeping your user fee at the same rate for everybody, and a fairness there, instead of going to a higher user fee for your developments. And the tap fees will be in that increment to be able to do that. And on the Preston development, it was also because of the contribution of what we did on the North Water Line and the North Sewer Line, is where that also was gonna implement that back. So it's a consideration.
What's the Apple Springs debt? Is that
There's
It's the
one
wastewater
issue.
treatment.
wastewater treatment?
There's one issue with that, and that's when we closed on loans with the bank, or when we close on loans with the state, they make us implement a surcharge, and they need to see it in the bill, and they need to see you're carrying 110%. So as much as we'd all want to leverage those developer contributions, the bank won't, you're kind of reneging on the agreement that you made with the bank when they
No, you're
closed.
still carrying your surcharge.
But here's
You're
what you
doing
can
a
do.
separate agreement with the tap fees.
But here-
That's in-house.
But here's
That's
what you
not-
can do. There is a way to do it, what you want to do. And the way you do it is because if you look at the bill in total, you have your surcharges down at the bottom that you can point to what those surcharges are paying for. The lagoon expansion, the wastewater treatment plant, right? But then on top of that, you have your cost of service, right?
Correct.
Which is, it includes operating expenses, it includes all those things. That's where you can let your developer contributions offset that cost, so that bill can then stay down, right? But we need to and that's what we said when we were developing the rates, is we'll bring these surcharges, but we'll try to reduce that third component, right? Which is not unrelated to the debts, and it's associated with our cost of providing the service. Like electricity bill, all that stuff.
That's the key word right
Yes.
there. That we have done the Apple Springs, we've done the lagoon expansion to prepare for development. These developments now coming in are taking advantage of that circumstances, so
Yes.
that's where that added fee comes in, whether it's an
Yeah.
added tap fee or whether it's an added surcharge fee, whichever you want to do,
Right.
whichever doesn't reflect our debt. And we always want to protect our debt limit as the highest ratio of that and not allow that to be effective. So if a tap fee isn't going to affect our debt limit,
Yeah.
and we can allow that and keep that a line item in itself as a developer bonus because of what we've done for expansion to handle another 1,000 units into our lagoon, however you want to explain that, is a circumstance you want to develop. And then that way it doesn't affect our debt limit, so if we need to go down the road, another tower, another well, we still have that debt capacity. But I feel the developers are why. Otherwise, our regular citizens, we would not have had to do everything we've done with our existence with, and I'm not using this as a sore thumb, but it is, Southern Black Hills Water, putting that barrier around our community, we wouldn't have grown any. We'd stay right where we're at. So that's why the citizens shouldn't have to endure.
But I beg to
This.
differ. I beg to differ. The reason I say that is because we've had nobody develop yet, right? It's just the projections, these three big developments. But we've had to pump them all last winter and spend $150,000. So our system couldn't even handle what we currently send it.
But I can argue that point too, because if there wouldn't have been some of the circumstances prior, with prior boards and prior elements, we wouldn't have had to have pumped. We could have done our normal system. There was other rockiness that can erupt that whole thing. We can go over that,
Because we don't have
that.
irrigation as an option. And when evaporation disappears because the sun goes away for the winter, you
There's
see
elements.
those lagoons rise. So,
I feel there's elements, we could have avoided that.
yeah.
And we
Yeah.
could have.
Well, let's,
And we will in the future, is the
Yeah.
point.
Well, we don't
Yeah.
have that anymore. Apple Springs is taking that element completely. There is none of that.
True,
You can
right.
discharge.
well, let's go back to the tap fees then.
So we
this
don't
doesn't-
need that 150 saved in there, or are you using that as just an example and another emergency might come up that you need that 150 there?
The 150 is just a dotted line that doesn't have any merit, it doesn't affect the model. It could be way up here, it could be down there. What matters is that you want to have some dotted lines to see how you can put that solid black line, try to get it slot it into those two dotted lines by changing how you do revenue, or if you did a reduction of cost, or what have you. Those dotted lines they don't have any
Well, it's holding,
impact. They don't do anything to the model.
Yeah, they're just indicators.
They're
of-
just supposed to be helpful guidelines. We want to get that black solid line between those two dotted lines if we can. And so when we do this scenario, now it sticks between, actually that black line actually goes above it and is way up here. Now, what I don't understand
that's
is,
scenario number 3, which includes,
well, what I don't understand about the scenario is that I don't see these being projected out. So the amortization is not happening here unless I'm missing something. Normally, and I thought I saw this in a previous model, but Naya was making that
Yeah.
report, so I don't know what she did. I'd have to get with her to see what she did to this scenario in order for her to create the report for everyone. But normally we'd see these would be creating amounts, which you see in your report. So like,
these are service fees,
what you see on the screen is replaced by this in the report, right? And
which
so
says what?
it says debt payment details.
Okay.
That comes from that 5, section
Okay,
5.
The surcharge.
Yeah, so what you want to see in that page is you have the surcharge revenues, which is the $53,000. That's almost
exactly the same as number 2 in the debt expenses on the table above, 51,245, and then it's 48, 47, 46. So those are our loan payments for the treatment plant from Apple Springs, and these are our revenue we're bringing in the bill.
And this one still doesn't have the
And so what you can say is, well,
surcharge for 25 and 26 in there.
how many users do we have, Terry,
Or
for sewer?
for
If we
which
start the
loan?
surcharge now,
No,
we're
just how
gonna
many
have
users
numbers
do we
in
have?
How many
too.
users?
It's like
264 sewer users, like 264, something like that. I think
Yeah.
is those numbers.
So divide 53,000 by 264, that's $200 divided by 12, $16.72.
Yeah, that's how we got the.
So that's
That's
where
where we
that
got the
comes from.
1675.
And then, so straight up, without looking at that at all, you can see that number 2 in the debt expenses is about tracking that surcharge WWTP, which they would have been flipped. It would have been this top and top, bottom and bottom, but whatever. And then you got, up top, you got SRF loan expansion, that's the lagoon. And so the $27,000 is just interest only. So the state revolving loan allows us to only pay interest during the construction of the lagoons. And after that, we start paying a loan payment. And so then it becomes $31,255, and that's actually every year. And so we track that by looking at surcharge lagoon, and it's 40,000. 40,608, 41,225. When it's rising like that, all that is interest. It's just, or I'm sorry, it's inflation. So it's the 3.1 whatever inflation that we set in the program because it's tracking inflation. So that's carrying that debt. Now, if you look at the surcharge for the lagoon of $40,000 divided by 264 users divided by 12, that's $12.62 per month. Is that what we're expecting?
Well, we had the 1280 that was approved. So.
So it's slightly higher.
1673.
Do you want me to look up the exact number of users?
So 1673 and 1262. So 1673 pays for the wastewater treatment plant, and then 1262 pays for the lagoon expansion. And the reason is because SRF is a longer period of time, and there's $373,000 in ARPA grant money.
But if they move that 40,000 to 25, then those numbers are gonna change down the road. Is that gonna change this 1262 at all? Because we're
So
gonna be
those numbers-
collecting it 2
those-
years.
Those
or-
numbers should never change until we
Yes.
pay off the debt. Now, the rest of the
No, the
bill,
revenue, because we're collecting the revenue now,
yeah.
not in 2027. So your
Which page?
40,000 would start in 25,
Mhm.
and then your next year would be the 4608, and the next year 41, but it'd all be 2 years.
All that would do
Back.
is take the black line and it would jack it up earlier, so that black line would be a little bit higher, and then it would go down. So that would just extend out that whole thing.
Right, but did we or did we not at one point talk about doing a staged increase?
Yeah,
So wouldn't that help with that?
so the staged increase, the way, so you've got two here, right? You got a 1673 and a 1262 roughly.
And then
So
another
the way to do it is,
$3 on the,
if you haven't implemented either one, you would implement one year and implement the second one the next year. Because we have that 2 years of interest only, right? So that's the way that's the way you feather it out, is that you wouldn't do them both in the same year if you're trying to step into it. You do one and
Yeah.
do the other.
I thought we had kind of talked about, it would be better to do like, whatever that adds up to, $31, $32 now.
Yeah.
So that if you have to do an adjustment, it's 5 years down the road, not increasing every single year.
Or you're gonna
So
be
$30.
3% either way, every year. You still need to have your maintenance, you still need to have everything that you're doing for your billing, for you're now in a mode where your 3% should be automatic every year, cost of living. I'm sorry, and the 3255, Yep, I guess we could have lessened the blow and started to 1280 and started to build that slush fund. But we were trying to slow things down there too, and we weren't sure where it was
Until
going.
we had the
with
funds
DA
and it
loans.
was going,
At
yeah.
that time, you know, we weren't sure of anything. We had Southern Black Hills, we had DA&R up in the air, we had so many different scenarios, didn't know what we were gonna do with the 2.2 for the water. You know, so we may have driven back. Then we all ended up giving back the Gumbo Lily money, so that changed the effect of where we were going. So there was a big ball of scenarios there that we weren't sure of them, so that's why we did not enact the 1280. Now you're in a position with both the Apple Springs and the lagoon expansion that makes sense of where we're at and let them get the big lump now. And then if you're doing 3%, like you say, it's $2-3 every year. That's in a manageable situation. Till you get your other loans that drop off. Once your other loans start to drop off, then a guy can back off a little bit if you want to on your
Which was
user
when?
fees.
27, we had some coming on? Or was it 20, at the end of 25?
Well, USDA loan is gonna be close to maturing on it.
32.
Didn't we just make a final payment on something along, was that water?
No, that was the one when we used the security for our sewer line through the tip, that we satisfied that one, and we paid that off.
I thought we had paid off an old one, like a 20-year.
There was another
long
old one, yes.
There was another
that
old one,
Gail
yeah.
paid
Gail
another
paid that, I
small one
remember,
too.
yep.
Must have been water. We didn't really have much on sewer loans because we hadn't
No,
So
done
ba-
projects yet.
yeah, so basically, Anthony, the purpose of this model is just to show that these surcharges will cover the debt service and that the 10% increase will cover the operating expenses of the new treatment plant and this sewer system as a whole.
Yep,
And it doesn't include any tap fees going forward, correct?
doesn't. I mean, it just projects what we currently are receiving in terms of tap and
Yeah,
benefit fees.
which is gonna go up once.
Which will go up.
It's gonna like be a stepped increase
Mhm.
as the developments come in, and then it'll be a decrease as the developments are finishing up.
Right,
And so, so like what you guys were talking about earlier, that will be used to offset the operating costs. But the surcharge can't go away until the loans are paid off.
30
Correct.
years.
Yeah. And s-
20 and 30 years.
Yeah, so, yeah,
So you're
Leo?
kind of stuck implementing the surcharges. There's kind of
Right,
no way around that because it's embedded in your agreements with your loan providers,
yeah,
right?
right,
But the rest of the bill, beyond these $2 amount, beyond $30, all that can be positively affected by developer contributions, right? And so that's where you can go up, you can go down, right? So if you want to try to shrink the bill to help people handle the surcharges, that's where you would do it.
right, yeah.
And you would hope that it would stay shrunk because the developer contributions are coming in.
And
That's
the
what he was
developer
trying to say.
fees can keep it where you could minimize possibly. Let's say, for example, Carriage Hills with 42 lots and there's an extra 1,000, so that's an extra 42,000 developed in that alone. Then your extra 3% that you were looking at for produce of a next 5-year statement could be eliminated and let this 3255 ride 1 or 2 years by the extra added on a developer fee. Then if Preston's comes in, or the Negebauer across the way, you can do the same thing, and you've already got that developer fee scheduled in. So, and it's a minimal, and then they can figure it into their lot charges ahead of the game. They're already preparing for it, they know. And it's a minimal, because they're gonna get better lot charges and better lot prices because they're on utilities from a municipality. Much better, as Kent very well knows, than doing drain fields or having a private well, because you have a municipal water sewer.
I'll raise a question. So Terry, when you closed the treatment loan with Toby, was there any clause in there that stipulated there's a penalty for paying off the loan early?
Yeah, there is.
Probably, yeah. The book's like this thick.
We got chastised for that on.
Cause like rural water, or rural development doesn't charge any.
No, federal don't, state does because they bonded
That's
it
all right.
on everything they've done, so they're
This one's a
investors.
private loan. This
Yeah,
one's a
private.
private loan through a bank, through a credit union. So
Right.
credit union might not. I mean, if
They
you go to
won't.
your home
No.
and you pay off your home early, they're gonna say, here's your penalty.
No,
Maybe
exactly.
the first couple years, they might say, we don't wanna see that
I
paid off.
don't know that you
in 2
would
years."
there at all in private institutions, but
Right.
when you do a state institution, it's a bonded situation.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So the extra money that you're talking about to cushion and offset this, regardless whether you paid off early, you can always set that up in a reserve account and set that payment to automatically drop for the next 20 years and that money's paid for. And
Yeah,
you don't really have to put it in your operating
yeah. But-
budget anymore. But these line items, the surcharges is what the bank has to see that we're doing, so
They
we
need
can't
to see
really
that.
mess with those.
Can't mess with
We
that.
can't say we earned enough that now we can lower the surcharge
Correct, correct.
because it has to meet that 100 and.
Correct.
But
It's-
you could pay them off, then the bank's off your back. So like if they let us pay off the treatment plant's loan early, if Carriage Hills, if we snapped our fingers and all 45 homes are up there and they're paying their sewer bill, that's worth $15,800 a year.
Correct.
So, you know, that's how much more we could be paying off, how quicker we could be paying off that loan, right?
And user fees.
Yeah, I think Leo had a question or a comment.
It's just a point of clarification. If I look at the surcharge of the lagoon, you know, $40,000. And then if I understood right, you said it was increased 3.1% for inflation. I'm not
Yeah.
sure you can do that on a surcharge.
It's, so here, you can see it on the screen. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a
'Cause my
flat
understanding
amount, and that
surcharge
amount
is
is a flat
set
amount
at the
throughout the
beginning.
loan
Yeah, that's
terms.
right.
And stays constant. If you want a 3%
Right here.
inflation,
3%.
that has to go on your
On
operating.
your base rate,
Yeah,
User fee.
your base.
3%.
yeah, so we gotta, that's a good point. So we gotta make sure that the surcharges have no inflation implied to them.
And just-
Just like the $1.50 DOT, that's what it started at, that's what it'll be
Mhm.
till it's paid off.
Just don't know where it's at in this model.
Yeah. Well,
But
I
you're
think-
right, the surcharge should just be a constant,
yeah, so I think,
X amount of dollars per user per month.
Right.
so do you think that we could talk to them and get these updates made, Anthony, before Tuesday? Or should we kick that to the next meeting until we have a model that we can implement these changes and make sure that we know everything that's going on in here?
Well, did you pass the resolution yet on the one for the SRF? Yes, that was
Is that the
2022.
1280 that we approved?
2023, they did the
1280.
1280. Yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
We just never implemented it.
So, I mean.
So I would really suggest you implement what you've already, like,
Sorry.
that was
We've
resolved years and years and years ago, you should implement that. And then
Yeah.
we'll have some time to get this figured out and why is it not
Yeah.
showing this or that. Because I'm used to
1262.
seeing the borrowing scenario showing it amortizing the loan. And they've obviously done something to make this report for you guys.
Right.
Yeah, so,
That-
I mean, as far as the 1280, that should just be automatic because it was already passed by a
Yeah,
previous
that was
board.
done in November of 23.
Yeah.
So then we basically just
So
need
we
a
can-
motion to implement, to start charging it, add it to the bill.
Add it to the
Status
bill.
quo.
Yeah, so we can just go ahead and add that immediately, right? Well, okay.
I guess my only other thought before the 1280, since it's already in black and white and approved, would be to round these up so that you're kind of, you know, make the 1672 17 and the 1262 is 1280.
So here, I could do it.
I don't know that we could do that. Don't we
Well,
have
that's
to
what we-
implement the surcharges?
Well,
as-
it is 1280, that's what it, and I think, and on the model, we're saying 1675, not 1672. So that's what we were,
That was the rounding. on
and that
the
was the rounding up there.
1675.
Yeah, that's what the model, it says
Yeah.
1675
Here,
and the
I
12.
can do it right now.
What's that?
I just took the status quo and I created a new scenario,
Oh,
which we're
okay.
calling the work session of
Yeah.
today. Okay?
All right.
So now if we have borrowing scenarios, these are the borrowing scenarios. So 700,000, 2%. Starts in 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all manually input, see?
Because that's the numbers that Toby wanted on there. That's what we had for payments.
Oh, okay.
So that's, she had them enter those.
The reason
I see, so
the
this
reason-
is the
Right,
schedule
formulas.
that was given to us
That's
by
in this,
Toby.
that's in this book.
Yeah,
The reason it dies right here is because it used to be projected out 10 years, and I added another 10 years.
oh,
Normally,
yeah,
you couldn't see this. Which is fine. I mean, I can go back to that if that's confusing us.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Now when we go to it, it stops there. And then when we look at our revenue, or we would normally put in our, put in the surcharge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? So this surcharge would be the WWTP, the surcharge would be the lagoon, right?
You wanna put the amounts on there just so we can be
Yeah.
clear?
Yeah, it's gonna be,
We'll
you
put them
got
out
that
on your
little table?
description, so we know which one's like the 1280 and which
Oh, okay, so what
one's
is it?
15.
What's the treatment plan?
Treatment plant was the 1675.
1675. Is that like a 20-year loan?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right?
Yeah,
then 1280.
perfect. And then here's the
That way.
That's what it is.
table.
I thought
Copy that
I
down
thought this
there.
was already in here, so anyways.
Yeah, it was in there when we looked at it before, but I don't know.
I think when she made the
It's
report, she did
redoing
say-
it, yeah.
When does it start? 2020, when are we starting these?
Well, we'll start them in 2025, right?
The 1280 would be now.
Yeah,
February.
1280 now,
So
Yeah.
maybe we
sure.
start now, so
Yeah,
that is the lagoons.
and let's start the other one
So
now.
40,000.
Yeah,
And here's where it won't do that thing that Leo was saying. See, it stays 40.
yeah, there you go. Good call, Leo.
Okay, and then what? You want to do this one?
Saved us.
You want to do this one in 26, the 53?
Sure. See what
See
happens.
what happens.
See what happens. Well, we don't go bankrupt until for a while.
29.
Okay.
So why is that? Extra costs coming in here? No? Those look good. See, these are all just zeroed out, so they don't matter.
Yeah, where's your,
Let's go to
where's your
revenue.
expenses? Yeah, I mean, if we can't get this figured out in the next 5 minutes, let's go to the next agenda item.
Okay,
And then we can take care of this in another time, but if we can do it quickly, it'd be nice to see where we'd end up. But,
oh, because we have no here, we have no increase, any
the
rate
rate
increases.
increases,
Oh.
wanna put your 3% in there?
What were they? Okay.
1280.
This one, it was
Can you put
Well,
up?
that was a 10%,
sale of service, 10%,
10% this year.
okay,
Yeah.
and then?
Is it 3% every year
3%.
after that? Wanna just do that?
That's your cost of living.
Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah, there's your COLA.
There you
Oh,
go.
there we
So
go,
we're
now,
getting
so we
closer.
get, so 25.
Now you're okay. And actually, it would be okay if I projected it out and I added those other numbers in past 10 years, it would all
Yeah.
project out fine, so.
Yeah, so we can wait on implementing the 1675
Let's
till
do the
next year?
1280.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better. Does that make everybody else feel a little better?
So I studied engineering that account.
All right, well,
So we're doing the 1280 and the $3. The $3 is the,
yeah, so
based on the
basically,
10% fee.
10%.
yeah, basically, we need to do the 10% increase ASAP, and then we can look at doing the one for the treatment plant next year.
15, 16, 75.
But we've already approved the 1280, so we
Right.
just need to, does it,
Like I said, we're just at the 10% right now. The 10%
on
increase.
Tuesday's meeting, I meant.
Yeah, That's right.
Since we've approved that, do you want a motion to start it? Or is it
Well,
directed
right.
to just,
It's
Might be a good heads up for people. I mean, you approved it back in 2023.
right?
They've never seen it on their bill,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, if they see it, they're gonna go, "What?" This is,
You'll have
I think
something
it
in
might be a
there.
good heads
Okay.
up,
okay.
just to
Well,
let
we
them know
just do
that
a
we're
motion
gonna start
anyways.
implementing it.
Yeah,
this
or
year.
appoint,
I mean, the
appoint
more
a board.
So we know what we're
transparent.
doing on Tuesday, that's all.
Yeah,
So add that to the agenda.
Yeah.
And then you'll look at a developer's fee to help offset, maybe it can save her some of that cost of living increase.
Aren't those in
Well,
the
you
tap
got-
fees?
Well, you got that.
Pardon?
Aren't those in the tap fees already?
No,
The developer?
they have not. We have our standard, but we have no implemented. All we had is a written agreement for the Preston development. We had that in writing, that their fees were going to be double.
Do we have anything in our current ordinance that says these are the tap fees, but we have the right to change it if we want to, and you're a new development
You
coming in?
always have that right.
It's
But
in
you
there?
need to implement that and have that language in there now before these developments start.
Right.
So that way they're upfront knowing.
So is that something we need
In
to
our
do on the
ordinance,
28th?
almost all of our ordinance say, as per current user
Fee
fees.
schedule,
Yes.
right.
So what you need to do is just go to your fee schedule and make your changes.
Add a line
In
or
the-
something for new development because,
Well, that one
or
would be new.
commercial.
It would be
Because
added.
otherwise someone will say, this is your current fee schedule and your sewer tap's only $600 and you wanna charge me 16,000?
I would say get it on your schedule.
And if you put an infrastructure development fee as a line item, so
Infrastructure
that way it's
development fee.
understood with
There you go.
that description. And then, that way then you have that
My suggestion,
understood.
would be to figure out what your tap and benefit fees are, is to look at what other communities are charging for tap and benefit, right?
That's
So,
always the go-to.
yes, because then when they accuse you of being whatever, you say, well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so are this, and we're kind of right here, you know?
And that's what we did with Southern Black Hills Water, because here we are 1,000 tap fee. Southern Black Hills Water was 4,000 is what they wanted to charge Preston. And they wanted $750,000 up front. So when they were gonna set that, and we were going to 2,000, here we're 50%, and we're not asking for the $750,000 up front on all the tap fees being paid.
Just as a side note, because you brought it up, do you know what side of the road Southern Black Hills is gonna pass the Prestons on? Is it on the west side or on the east side?
From the way it's looking, they're boring the highway and they're gonna take everything to that east side
East side?
and run it down.
So they'll have to come back?
Or they're gonna have to tee there by the mud bog track and take another.
Oh, that's where they're
trunk
gonna
line up.
cross, Mudbug?
Well, right there by Paw Patch is where their
Yeah,
Orange
basically,
up
yeah,
is.
Gumbo Lily, basically.
right.
Leo?
Yeah, and you know, I've heard the word tap fee thrown around. Now, there's a tap fee for the sewer and a tap fee for the water.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Just.
we have to be careful when, like, I just heard a comment on where you're talking about water tap fee,
Mhm.
when actually it's getting kind of mixed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
with
yeah.
the sewer tap. fee.
Yeah, it's different.
Because you're only looking at half of that tap fee probably, right?
Yeah, it's cheaper. Sewer tap fee is cheaper.
I had a question. So I believe in the past for Carriage Hills, we did grandfather that in because it was already platted for the old fees. Is that correct? Am I correct at what I'm saying?
Nothing's grandfathered, I don't think, once it's changed hands.
That was on
Okay, well,
plat.
that was my question.
It's actually a new
And
plat
they're
now.
actually gonna
It's a new plat.
replat it.
It's a new plat.
So that
the-
would
the new
remove them
fees-
from, right? That would remove the grandfather clause if they're replatting it.
The replatting is what they were trying to do, because that's one of the things up,
Okay.
that they were trying to change everything in that aspect. And yes, it was stated because Ferguson was included in it. At that presence, that if anybody was, that was already presently platted in the municipal boundaries, would be at the same fee schedule. If they replat, then it changes that whole position.
That answered my
So
question.
thank you.
Yeah. All right, are we all good on the agenda item A?
I have one more question.
You got one more question?
So our work session on the 28th, then, could you have your what other towns are charging on those tap fees so that we can add them to our fee schedule.
Yep.
Then it would be by when the bill goes up in February, would be the February bill, right? She's already done January and.
No, we haven't done
We're
January
doing
yet.
January on Tuesday.
Billy?
So we're having a board meeting on the 21st and then another special
Then a
meeting.
work session on the
Work session on
28th
the
And
28th.
another one on the 28th.
Yeah.
at 6 p.m. I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what it's tentatively scheduled for right now,
January 28th?
28th.
at 6 p.m.
So then the next agenda will have the two separate items, one for the 1280 and one for the 10%. That's two different agenda items to make two separate
Yep.
motions. And then the 28th
Tap
work
fees.
session will, however you want to word that, update the fee schedule,
Yeah, because there's some other things we need to look at, I
tap
think.
fee
on
and
that.
infrastructure development for water and sewer.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. I just want to make sure we're clear on.
Okay, everybody good with the
Thanks
sewer
for
rate
your
increase
work on-
discussion?
On that,
Kinda
guys.
went all over the place on there, but I think we did okay. All right, item number B, complaint discussion. So, is everybody aware of what this is all about? Should I do a quick summary, or? You have no clue, what we say? Okay, so, technically speaking, on the, was it the meeting for the 17th? Is that when it was?
7th.
The 7th meeting? Mr. Stiles, had some outbursts in the meeting, and then after the
Go on.
meeting,
It was
That
the
was
meeting
actually
before
in
that, because
December.
I wasn't in.
The
That
December
was a
meeting.
December
and then-
meeting,
Yeah, it was
wasn't
a
it?
December meeting.
yeah. did you
So
say
December
27th?
17th, sorry.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay,
it's January
17th, that's what I thought,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
So the 17th meeting, he had some outbursts in the meeting, and then after the meeting, continued to behave erratically and in a threatening manner to multiple different people. And, so the complaint was from Dan and how he was treated by Mr. Stiles in the meeting. And so the complaint's kind of a side issue in my opinion. I don't believe that the board should allow Mr. Stiles to continue to exhibit that behavior at the meetings. And, if I'm gonna be sitting in this seat and Mr. Stiles walks in, I will ask him to leave the meeting. It's, the non-members in the room for the meetings can attend at the chair's behest. That's part of Robert's rules. And so on a per meeting basis, the chair can remove somebody that they don't believe should be at the meeting. But if it needs to be more than an ongoing kind of rolling thing, and the board wants to implement a disciplinary procedure such that Mr. Stiles is no longer allowed at any of the meetings, then that has to be a board decision. And so going forward, as long as I'm the chair or at any of the meetings and I see Mr. Stiles, I'm going to recommend that he remove himself. And if I'm not the chair, I'll recommend that to the chair. But on Tuesday's meeting, I am going to make a motion that the board consider disciplinary proceeding against him for his actions that he displayed on the 17th, which are indefinite suspension of any future meetings. So that's where, so if I'm running the meetings, that's where I'm gonna take it in the future, and then if I'm not, then I'll make the recommendation. But so that's kind of my opinion on it and where I'd like to see it go. So I'll entertain any commentary or opinions too.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Just because, of course, Jerry saw the agenda and called me today and saw that that complaint was on there, and he requested that if you did talk about him, he get called and would be able to listen to it, so just saying that.
Okay,
And I had emailed you about that. And so
yeah,
I just said, well, I would let you know that I did receive that phone call and he did have to make that request. So
yep,
he said he's
I don't think
backing
any
away
input from
and
him
not-
is needed and he can hear it on the recording after. That's my
But he
feeling.
said he's not going to be coming to any more of the meetings. He's gonna, have a different residence and not gonna be involved in the town politics anymore. So,
well, I know that he said things like that in the past, and so, I just feel that an official board action would kind of solidify the message and also,
Set a precedence for future. that
well,
they-
and just illustrate that this board is not going to, put up with that type of behavior in there. The thing is, it's not about an opinion. It's not about him coming in and petitioning his local government for redress of grievances. It's beyond that. It's the displays and the behavior outside of that, because obviously he has a constitutional right and everything like that to do those things as far as address his local governance. But, I just feel that, and in my opinion, that he kind of stepped out too far, and that, we need to be mindful of other people in the meetings, and also, like, one thing I would not like to see is somebody who just comes to a meeting for the first time to see what's going on, and then, some kind of circus ensues, then, yeah. So, anyway, Joan, did you have a comment?
Well, no, I just would like to hear just Kent's comments on the legalities and
I think, consistent with Cal just said, you can, the presider of a meeting can order somebody out of the meeting, out of the premises. That's well supported in the law and Robert's rules and all that. The other aspect of doing it on a continual basis where it's a permanent thing or until further notice, we might want to put it.
Like banning him from the property.
Yeah, there's three issues here. One's ejecting per each meeting, no problem. Banning them permanently from attending the meetings. I think we have a reasonable basis to say that, to declare that. Banning from all public property. There's
Maybe not, then.
there's not as clear
Restraining.
of a, and I hesitate to say this because that very sign is because of sales, that
Right.
notice sign.
He didn't want to follow the policy that he so badly wanted to put into place, but, I mean, it's not just this one time, it's been time and time and time again, and he has harassed the office staff during the day before. And that's my reason for saying more than just meetings, from the office entirely, because the staff shouldn't have to deal with that
Right.
when it's something that they can't explain to him, it needs to be addressed at a board meeting, and he's going off on them.
Yeah, and that's,
May I speak up?
yeah,
Yes, ma'am?
I agree with Cal. I believe that something needs to be done, and in the future, possibly we need to add some more words to our policies. But right now, I think it needs to be dealt with, and I appreciate the fact that Mr. Stiles has called the office and said that he is no longer going to attend the meetings. And that to me is admission of an issue. However, I don't believe that admitting it is enough, because I believe it was Shanna that stated that this has happened before. And of course, like you just said, that particular sign was particularly made for that account. And I believe that we need to carry it almost as far as we can for the future of our town, our employees, and our citizens. We need we need them to feel comfortable coming to a meeting. We need them to feel comfortable coming to the office and asking questions. And that particular situation was not comfortable a lot of times, more than 3 times. And so I think we need to carry it as almost as far as we can. And like I said, I do appreciate him admitting that there was a problem. But he has changed. He has admitted things before, and tried to contain, and it didn't work. Thank you for letting me speak.
I think those are excellent points, and I appreciate being reminded, because some of that was even happening before I came on board again. And he's essentially created a hostile work environment. And
Yes.
we have been told about that hostile work environment by the finance officer and everybody else who's worked here over the time. And Monica still talks about him,
Exactly.
how horrible he was.
That is not. It has not just been the people that are sitting in that room right now. It has been the two previous finance officers, or 3, except for that one is the same one. But yeah, it has been an issue. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah, and if he wants to challenge it, and then we can go for broke, and I shouldn't even say it's going for broke, because it's within our legal rights to do it. It's simply enforcing our rights. And banning him from meetings till further notice. Banning him from the office. Yes, public property. I know that's what you meant by public property, or is there other areas where he's a
No,
pain?
I just really wanted to protect the office staff and the girls, so,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
entering the town.
yeah. And he
But if
has,
you have a special meeting downstairs, I mean, just building the, sorry.
yeah, no, I want to hear, I appreciate it. Sometimes people just have to interrupt to get a word in edgewise around me, so.
Well, and if we have to shop next door and wind up getting the, if he stops by, someone's outside, I just want it covered.
Yeah.
Town law,
Because-
town.
Because I think he feels, since, just because you may have ejected him from the meeting or banned him from being in the meeting, well, there's nothing that says here, I can't stand on the parking lot, it's
Right,
public property.
right.
Well, that's part of the intimidation, and a restraining order typically sets a boundary of yards, or within a mile or something like that, but usually it's, because there's a stationary object here being this room, this property, yeah, I would say not being within 100 yards, except for passing by on the street. I mean, there's got to be some exceptions, because this is going to be an official proclamation, a resolution, and it makes it an official policy. And as such, we want to be able to defend it if we do get approached by it. That's my job, to make sure it's legally reasonable. I want to check into the law a little bit more, where on the entire properties, where the constitutional rights, as Cal was mentioning, of a citizen versus all the bad things we just talked about. And usually when it gets that bad, it's a restraining order is an order. And that's only a court, typically only a court can take away the constitutional rights of a citizen. So I'm going to look at that a little bit more from that angle of all the property. But I don't think that's a bad idea. I'll have something at my next meeting for the proclamation.
Yeah, 'cause it has happened.
You want to write something up for next meeting?
Yeah, I think it would be, I think that would be advisable, and then we can, look and see if we want to go that far, or if we need to, but anyways. Does anybody else have any comment on the subject, Mr. Halsworth?
And I would say that would be a good satisfaction on my complaint. I would feel that that was satisfied, if we can go to that level and not have that harassment anymore and an occurrence of that situation. So I appreciate you addressing it today and the conversation. I appreciate the legals portion of it and everybody's input. I thank you for that.
Okay.
Another point to consider is he's been aggressive on the parking lot. I saw it myself, with me. But, so there's another basis for him being vexatious during meetings and around the place.
Right. Joan and then Leo?
Well, I only wanted to say that, I'm not in disagreement with you. I know there's been a lot of problems, and he was the cause of a lot of problems. But I'm always the person that wants to say, give them notice before you move forward. Like meeting, he comes in, you ask him to leave, and you give him notice of if this is not followed, we will move on to
To the next step.
other options. It's just how I prefer to do things.
Okay. Thank
You
you.
might save money in the
Well,
long
then,
run.
it's horrible for a person to walk into a meeting and think that they're fine and have that brought to them in front of people.
Well,
So I
then,
would
a
agree
letter.
with that.
I just like people to know what's going on before you just hit them over
Yes.
the head.
Exactly. I would agree with that.
Okay, Leo?
Well, I just want to raise a point, because it was raised by your attorney that there was harassment in the parking lot. Well, I happen to have witnessed that. Jerry was leaving until the attorney badmouthed Jerry, and then went at Jerry. So I think it's being somewhat mischaracterized what happened in the parking lot, because I witnessed it.
Okay.
And that's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Thank you, Leo. Dan?
And I guess I have to disagree with that because I was in conversation with Mr. Haig with my wife at the time that Mr. Stiles came by us and made the comments to us. And then that's when Mr. Haig had to make a comment to Mr. Stiles that we're having a private conversation, please.
I said, move on, Jerry.
Yeah.
Because it was just, he was clearly walking briskly toward us.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we don't have to recount all the events of the evening, but, my intent on bringing this up was to address the complaint and then also to publicly state my intentions going forward. So I think Joan's comment about an official notice is probably wise. I'll have to talk to you about, how we may do that, but anyways, so.
Could we maybe have a letter to approve at our next meeting to send to him? Just on the basic level of banning him
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
from the town office. And
does anybody have any further comment on the topic? Dan, real quick?
Thank you. And I guess in my feelings and opinions, we have warned before and in previous boards warned before of that situation. And there was another incident of other individuals that were after Mr. Ferguson. And the abuse went so far that night that we had to have law enforcement remove the individuals. And then it was brought up with Mr. Stiles at that point that he also had gotten out of hand and that we didn't bring it back. But every meeting has been that way. And so in my feeling, that's why I brought the complaint, is for the aspect that we went so far for 4 years with this situation, and then our office help is at an intimidation point. Maybe not Terry as much because she wasn't here to witness as much, but with Jill and the circumstances that we're at. And with Monica and the amount of times they were in tears as well as Gail is way beyond that. And I understand where Joan's coming from, but this limit has been pushed way too far to the point where it's intimidation of what's gonna happen if somebody walks out of here. Is the gentleman going to go too far with the circumstance there if the wrong thing's said? That's why the paper trail needs to be set now, in my opinion. Aaron, I wished he would have been here because that was his comment at the last meeting. Is okay, then make a report at the police. Well, I made a report here with our office first. If we have to go to law enforcement next, then so be it. I will go to law enforcement next. But
Yeah.
if we don't make our paper trail now and make our stand now, I'm just afraid of what's gonna happen next, and I'm afraid for the office also.
All right, we'll let Jill go, and then I'd just like to do a closing comment, and we can move on.
Since Jody left in December of 2023, she left here in tears, not because of me. After that, I did keep a spreadsheet of days, dates, and actually the outburst and the things that Jerry has done and who was actually there to witness that. I have a document that contains all of that.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not giving it up right now, but
right.
I do have that.
All right, well, thanks for letting us
Thanks,
know
Jill.
about that. So, I know we can go on for a long time, but we don't need to, I don't think. Just, my closing comment is, I find this regrettable that we should be doing this, but I think it's necessary. And, this is not really the position I wanted to be put in, but this is the position I find myself in. And like I said, I believe it necessary to take this action, so, and it's solely on the basis of demonstrated behavior and not any opinions or words per se. It's solely on the basis of behavior and conduct, so. Anyways, let's move on to a much lighter topic, the Harris Sewer Leak bid proposal.
Said a little more smelly.
At the last meeting, I asked the question, why is this still on here? And then the consensus at the time was that it was the traps drying out that was causing the smell, and that was what it was attributed to the sewer leak. And me being, ignorant of all the facts in the situation, because I had heard of this situation for a long time, but never saw any corroborating evidence or heard of exactly what it was from anybody. I just said, well, let's take it off of there. But then, since then, Joan has provided us with the documentation showing that indeed, in fact, there is a separation from the service line to the main. Is that correct, Anthony?
I haven't seen any footage, but that's what the word said in
So the document
the
said.
document said.
It has been cambered,
Okay.
and I immediately sent that to Chuck.
Okay.
It's at 280 Manning, the mobile home, not the house. And what's happened is the bolts, evidently where it hooks to the main, those bolts are broken away and the pipe has dropped below the main. Not completely, just, however much,
What does she mean by bolts, Chuck?
how, the brackets, whatever you attach
saddle.
the sewer to the main.
So that- So that's, so it's not a factory tap, it's a aftermarket tap that's
I guess you would
a
have to
saddle
ask.
on the main,
Well,
and that broke?
initial construction they had, it shows up on the cameras are Y caps, and they physically put a tap at each resident.
So that's factory.
And
yeah.
then capped
Factory
with
tap.
a concrete plug.
Yeah.
And I have seen issues where a new tap was made within a foot of the other one, they didn't realize it
So
was
that's a
there.
break-in tap?
Yeah, and those are clay tile.
The main is clay? Clay crap?
No, the main is concrete.
Main is concrete, okay.
But
Reinforced
there were some pretty crude taps made
Okay.
along the way. Like a big hammer, knock a hole in it,
Yep,
and hopefully the saddle covers it. But
yeah, well, I've seen broken protruding taps and mains that they just threw a bag of cement over it too, so,
Well,
call it a
Roger
day.
Ritter did
Like we
say-
do, like we do in farm culverts, right? So it's,
Roto-Rooter did say that the sewer pipe itself was in good shape.
the main,
The service
The
line.
service
the
line.
city's main, yeah.
how.
So the
I'm
city's
saying.
so what we got is,
service line, she's talking about the service line
Oh,
from her
your
house
service
to the
line's
main.
in good
Service
shape?
line, yeah,
Okay.
I'm not talking about your main,
okay.
I'm talking about that we are no longer connected to your main, although it's
Now
still
is-
is,
Now, is it like that and it's still,
yes,
okay, so it's offset? Okay,
it's
so,
dropped down, so it's like a little half moon at the
yeah. And there is I mean, I don't know how deep it is. How deep would you say it is, Joe?
I wanna say 7, 8 feet.
8 feet. Okay, that's kind of borderline, where you could do how far is the nearest manhole? It's probably far, huh? It's probably halfway,
About
200 feet?
Okay, the sewer line,
Church
you were at our mobile home, if you remember,
Yep.
the sewer line is
That's
just.
the one where the smoke came back in.
No,
The clean out that's by your house, where you live? The mobile home?
Yeah.
And yeah, I blew smoke in that clean out and it came back out at me. So it wasn't going into the service line. So there's a blockage due to that offset.
right, and that I told you at the time that, about it.
Yeah,
But it's just east of the end of the trailer,
yeah.
and it goes straight across.
Well, so the first thing is that it's broke off of the main, so we have to handle, like the city has to address that.
Right.
So it's at our connection point, you know, it's not something up the service line that becomes your property. So that's the first thing. Second thing is how do you fix it? What's the cheapest way to fix it? You can dig up to 7 or 8 foot. If you were close to a manhole, there is you can do a patch, but I think that you're probably gonna just have to dig it up. I don't think
It's not very close. I
Yeah,
mean, it's 2 houses into the block and the manhole
yeah,
is, how far would that be, Chuck?
yeah, you're,
manholes in the center of 3rd Street and Manning. It's
Yeah.
not very far away,
yeah.
100 feet
We
or
don't want
less.
to dig up the street.
Dig it up, and then, you know, to prevent that, when the service line comes into the main, and it's just a broken tap, and there's a little protrusion that keeps it in the main, so it's protruding into the main pipe, that will break, right? And so then, the things that result in that is you have infiltration of water, you have sinkholes that develop, those are the issues that
You know,
happen.
toilets will sometimes take several flushes.
Well, that's backup. So then once it's doing this, so then you know you're getting buildup, right? Because it can't make it cleanly into the main, so it's getting blocked by that broken tap. So then it'll start to back up in the sewer main. At the solids, huh? The liquids will make their way through. The solids will stay, right? If they can't slide out into the main, you know, a cleaning of that would at least alleviate it for a little while, right?
You know, I mean, we had it cleaned.
I mean, the town
And
can
it's,
do it
I
too.
wouldn't pay that
Yeah.
money again to do it again because it's not that bad right now.
Right.
But it still is a problem that needs to be,
It's a city
And
issue.
it's
not
probably a
our
good
issue.
idea for the city when we do fix it to rotor it, clean it out, so then when you open it up, you're not dealing with a big mess, right? Like it's gone out into the main and flushed out and run a garden hose through it, so at least it's a decent situation when you pick it up.
I have no
That,
idea.
yeah, that you're not dealing with a lot of other debris that you're not interested in handling, right? So that would clean it out. That could be something that's done ASAP, and then that gets you to the spring when it would be a better weather conditions for digging it up and fixing it. Go ahead.
Not refusing to fix it. It's just that time, I mean, if they were backed up, then it's an emergency.
Right,
At this point, it is not, but
right,
that doesn't mean that it's not on the list, so
right.
to speak. I viewed the
Put
the
it,
footage of it, and the line is in very good shape from the house to the main. And matter of fact, Robert Ruger commented on how good the line was. Problem is at the tap, and without digging it up to see what really is the problem, I mean, obviously it will have to be replaced, but like I said, it is working. I mean, if it was blocked, backed up, then it falls under an emergency. And we've done that before, dug them up and fixed them in an emergency situation. We're pretty badly overwhelmed with work.
and trying to save the town some money on the treatment plant, one thing and another, but it is time consuming, and weather cooperates, if it gets worse between now and spring, then we'll have to address it. I'm not refusing.
Right, and can I just comment on that too? And it has nothing to do with that, and we know that you're busy and everything like that. My concern was that it's just been an open work order item for going on 3 years. And I talked to Anthony about, can we get a bid put together to see what it would cost to have somebody come in and do it? And it's just because I know that you're super busy with everything, and then let's see how much it would cost us to just get it over and done with, and then it's out of your mind, you know you don't have that.
More than welcome to get a bid or two on it.
Exactly, yeah, and so, and again, I mean, it's obviously, I say obviously, but I didn't talk to you about this beforehand, I don't think, so, it's not meant to be like any kind of thing like what you mentioned, you were refusing to do it. I just wanted to make the comment that I know you're not refusing to do it, and I appreciate all the work that you do here, and we know that you're, you have some very big fish to fry right now, so anyways.
Do you know, is there anybody in the area that does lining, CIPP lining?
I don't know for sure right in the immediate area. I mean, Pace does that sort of thing. And
They do lining as well as Cameron.
Main line might, I don't know.
So, when I was looking at doing a project where we were gonna line sewer, these connections, this happens a lot if you've got poor soils. And so what happens is the contractor was digging a deep hole that he was dewatering, because you're by water in Michigan, and he had to get that pipe in the ground and bury it, right? And so he did all that real quick, and the soil that was below that pipe bedding wasn't appropriate. So then it created a sag. So then that sag's like a smile, and there's sewer, and let's say it's all plastic or somewhat flexible. So they all sag down with that sewer main, and then a couple of the big ones, really bad sags, break off, right? So it's really common. And I've had situations with whole neighborhoods that had to deal with it. So what I did is I had a company that wanted to display their work, and they did demonstration. We paid for the demonstration, they came out and they did one, right? And then what they did was, not only did they put in the T-liner, right, that secured the main, so it's all done without digging it up. They go into the sewer main, there's a little pig, they call it. It's got 4 wheels, and it rolls into the sewer main. It's being pushed by a robot. And then the robot rotates it, and there's like an inside-out sock. You know how you pull your sock out? Inside that pig that shoots up into the lateral a couple feet. And lateral is the service connection. Shoots up in that towards the house, so it secures that. And then it expands in the sewer pipe, and under time it cures. And then it shrinks under air, and they pull it out, and so now you have a foot of the main that's been lined that's all one piece with that sock that goes up. And so the reason that's valuable is because if we have groupings of them, then, and I'm currently consulting with the city of Rapid City to do that, because they don't have anybody that has that expertise, and I've probably done $6 or $7 million worth of T-line. So if they have a company that comes in and does that, we could say, hey, we've got 30. And then when they're doing those in Rapid City, they could come and do our 30. So a demonstration could be an option if I can,
Find 30 more breaks.
Well, no, it would be, what they do is, because there's also like it's called a vacatee. So when there's no clean out as well at a house, like we have, Burchard, I think it was his name, doesn't have a clean out in his house. So then they hydrovac down to the sewer main, and they put in they actually put in it's like a clamped, it's like a piece of pipe with a clamp on it that's open. And you clamp it onto the sewer service line, and then they take a drill and they drill a hole through that service line. So now, and they pull the coupon out, and now you have a clean out, and you didn't have to dig it all up and cut the pipe and put a T in. It was all done with a hydrovac. So they would do that, because then they watch that sock invert.
Well, that would be, I think, preferable to digging up our street.
Right.
Amazing, it works.
Yeah.
So you go, they would go in your clean out, and obviously that would need to be cleaned out, right, jetted out. And then they come in with a push camera, so the camera is watching that pig show up with the inverted sock, and then it expands out towards the camera, and they know it all expanded, because if it expands out and it's kind of like partially there, it'll cure in that position, and now they gotta dig it all up. So it has to expand properly. So a good contractor watches every single one. He doesn't risk it.
Right.
But some guys, they know that a clean out's expensive, so they can underbid somebody by just being really risky and letting it open up, and hopefully they get it. And every once in a while, they gotta take a side-by-side out and pull that thing out as fast as they can with a cable, so. But yeah, if we can organize something like that, that would be neat. But what I think is that if we could have it cleaned out, regardless of what we do, be it that way or just digging it out, it'd be good to clean it out and then alleviate any blockages that are currently there. It's gotta be done anyways. So that could be something we order right away. And that way it's clean, and I'd like to see that, when they clean it, they camera it,
Yes, they
part of the
can.
service. I'd like to see recent footage of what's going on there. If it's, how bad is that thing deflected now? Because that'll dictate if we're even able to bring in that inverted sock, right? Because if
Do we
it's
have
way
that
down,
footage?
if it's like this,
Yeah.
it's a digging up job.
Do we have that footage anywhere?
Yeah.
That's it.
Chuck has it?
But
Okay.
it's like a couple years old, right?
Yes, it was May of '22.
Yeah. I wouldn't want
I'd
to
like-
plan on one thing and then it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay, Shanna, and then let's wrap
I'd
this
like
one up too.
the board to maybe consider covering the cost of Roto-Rooter. I mean, you've already
Yeah.
done that back in '22, but being that it's at the main, the town should be paying for that every time you need to clean that or snake it or do, you know,
Yeah, it's
whatever.
like $300 or something you pay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Terry or Jill looked that up, and I both, in my, as far as I'm aware, that we are square on that, Joan, is that correct? That
Yes.
you were reimbursed for the last time that it
Oh,
happened?
we did.
And that there's no
Yes.
Mm.
I
outstanding,
got a check for it, I think it was February 23.
but there's no outstanding Roto-Rooter bills for you with this? Okay. Chuck? Did you have a question or a comment?
It's, you know, a matter of digging it up and fixing it. I
Yeah.
mean, if, you'd like to get someone else, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But the ordinance has been changed several times, it depends on whose sewer it is. And, you know, it was, at one time, the city was responsible for the mains and that's it. Unfortunately, most of the way the town is, the sewer is on one side and the water's on the other side of the street. Depending on what side of the street you live on, it can get pretty expensive going across the street
Right,
to
yeah.
fix the problem. I don't think that is the case here. But,
So, I think it is on the
it's
south
gonna
side.
be expensive to dig
It's on
it
the
up.
south side of Manning,
You know,
isn't it? And she's on the
and
north
it's
side.
been changed back and forth 2 or 3 times, who's liable from what point to the other point, and not only sewer, it's water also. You know, whether we're responsible from the main to the curb stop, well, if the curb stop is on the other side of the street, then, you know, it just depends on the circumstance.
Like, what would be the cost for that repair? That's like, what, a day job? Full day job, you think?
Yeah, probably would fall in the range of $1,500 to $2,000. That's what I say, that doesn't mean what somebody else does.
Okay, Dan, did you have a comment?
And that's a good fairness too with Chuck, you know, if you're gonna have somebody else bid it, then it'd be great for Chuck to throw a number out there too and not have all the bids out and then it's just not,
Well, one of
good
the
fairness
things
to
to
Chuck.
run into is mobilization, you know, they're gonna come from 30, 40 miles, and I'm stationed right here within a block.
Okay.
My other comment was just that it's been on the agenda, like you said, for a long time. And we have dealt with complaints on the smells coming from here nor there or whatnot. And I realize Chuck's busy, I'm not,
But I wanna say
not
that's
there, I'd just like to
unrelated.
see it
That smell thing is, I was gonna say that.
unrelated
I
to
was waiting.
this.
Yes, it's absolutely unrelated. So the sewer smell comes from the traps being dry.
Okay,
This
Oh,
is,
something
you could have a
completely different.
sinkhole, you could have infiltration,
I'd just like
but
to
not
see it
smell,
completed,
EPD.
you know, if we set like a
Well, it's-
date, like, you know, by
it's
April
important
1st,
that
we
the
have
facts get
bids
out, not just
ready
hearsay.
Yeah.
for work or something to that effect.
Depends on what
Yeah,
weather
although there was a
Yeah.
tap also that,
But just so that we're
like we
acting
had a
and it's
tap
not
that
just sitting
we
there
covered
pending
up,
for another
that was, it fallen off
6 months
on
or a
your
year.
property, and then there was one that was like, there was a fence post there on yours. So those can have some, you know, gases migrate up, right? Possibly. You gotta have access to the surface. It has to be nice and clean. I mean, I guess in all fairness, if you had I've seen sinkholes, depending on the type of dirt, and that sinkhole's a nice, clean, looks like a snake hole, right? And I guess in theory, you could have gas get up the sinkhole, but if there is no sinkhole that's open to the surface, then the gas won't get out, right?
Knocking on wood, it hasn't
It's like,
happened
I guess
since,
in reality it could be, but open traps, I mean, we saw the smoke in the house, like the whole house was full of smoke.
Okay, just to respond to that, Lon and I went in there and he found that all the traps were capped. The only one that was not was the floor drain that's put in there.
Okay,
So we poured it in the floor drain, but
Good
there
deal.
was not
yeah, that's
anything
it.
else.
Yeah, that's all I need is one. Okay, cool.
All right,
So that's taken care of.
okay,
yeah, so I just wanted to, see us begin to address this, and as Shannon mentioned, let's set a date, by which we can get that done. I mean, I'll talk to Anthony and Chuck and see what they think a good fair due date would be for these bids, so. Moving on, item D. Anybody else have a quick comment? I thought we covered everything. Okay, great. Item D, expanding Benish responsibilities. So, I talked to Anthony about Benish taking over some things, or maybe not completely taking over, but being available. But this, so he made up this agreement for one of these positions we're gonna discuss, but this is probably better discussed in an executive session, this specific agreement. So let's put these agreements aside right now and not discuss them specifically. And let's just discuss the generalities of the positions that he would like to propose that we consider Benish contributing to. Is everyone clear on that?
I have a suggestion.
Okay,
This meeting's been almost 2 hours already.
yep,
I suggest this part gets moved to the next meeting.
okay. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but, I mean, if Anthony could just do like a 10-minute maximum description of what he's thinking, and then we can adjourn the meeting, would that be okay?
That would be fine.
Okay,
Okay, so the first one, and that's the one that's in your packet, is the on-call building official. So most towns, and as we approach 500 people, we're going to be a class 2 town. Most towns have a building official, right? So building official is carrying out different inquiries and general questions, supporting the office staff, if there's questions on that. And then there's the inspections that are done, right, when a building permit is pulled. And so I think the impetus for having an on-call position is because you can't have a full-time position, you can't really afford that. Most small towns don't. They'll have a building official that might have 3 or 4 different towns, and you kind of have a day reserved for that town, and that's when people know, hey, that's when I'm going to want my inspection called, or that's when I want to get my permit in. And so that way people can know what to expect in terms of the turnaround time. And so the inspections typically have a price per square foot. We have a Excel sheet that sort of matched up with what I used some numbers. Neil Putnam gave me some numbers from Mitchell, East River, to what they pay and they're pretty, like, I think on the low end in the state. So So like $65 a square foot is what I came up with from looking at like about 10 different building permit applications in Mitchell. So that would be something for residential inspections. Commercial inspections, we'd have to look at what they're proposing to do because it'd be quite complex. And provide the contractor or the builder with what the inspection fees would be. It'd probably be something similar, but if there's fire suppression or halo system or some other things that we need to make sure are done right, then that would be the case. The brewery, you know, there could be all kinds of commercial enterprises that come in, and we gotta look at that on a case by case. So what I'm proposing is, you know, we have an on-call, it wasn't originally an on-call, just a general on-call position, which I've basically seen needs to be the on-call planner's budget, which was $10,000 a year. And so that I pretty much don't touch that. That's entirely Neil. That helps him with when plats come in and subdivisions come in and things like that, ordinance, code, all that stuff. That pretty much eats up that 10,000. And then he even did an entire update of the water ordinances. So that's kind of where that on-call position's going. Is it's on-call planner.
And real quick, that's the current on-call
That's the current
that
on-call.
we have right now that we're paying $10,000 a
Yes.
year.
Yes.
That covers your advice to us and attending meetings too.
No, it doesn't. You're getting
Okay.
that for free right now because
Okay.
that's entirely being eaten up by Neil.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so,
We don't need to change that, that's good.
yeah, all I'll do is in
Thank you very much,
October,
sir.
when it renews, we'll rename it On-Call Planner. And I'll tell you what, like Hill City's 750, 800 people, and they're paying over $100,000 for a full-time planner. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but before your time, way back when, we contracted with CodeWorks. That was Dave St. Pierre was our building inspector.
that's kind of the idea.
And it was, yeah, I mean, they called and set it up when they needed it. And there
Yep.
was 4 inspections. He gave this inspection report. Original came to the town. It got attached to the building permit. And he was the one responsible for issuing the owner occupancy
Yep.
to the owner so that they could submit that to the county for their taxes or whatever.
Yep.
And it worked really well. That
Yep.
the way I recall though, I think it was a flat fee per
Mm-hmm.
inspection. It didn't go, you know, per footage, but that was a long time ago. But he also did other, you know, he was from Rapid, and I'm sure he did other areas as well. But he retired, so
Yep.
the town's only kind of gone backwards since then. We no longer have law enforcement. We no longer have
Yeah.
a building inspector. I mean, Chuck, sorry, you do what you can, but it's a whole
Mhm.
license.
Yeah, and
Professional type of thing.
I will tap Chuck's knowledge, professional services and resources within this.
Yeah.
So when I need somebody, like when I need Chuck, then, and he's available, then he will be conducting these inspections and performing them. So,
I
but
just
if
like
he's
to make
busy
sure we
tied
have
up
those
with a water main
reports.
break, then I need to be able to deploy somebody to fill in for those instances. So I kind of cover that. That's kind of my responsibility. And so then the 10,000 on-call answers all these general inquiries. When you're going to have, like I've had already, I mean, I just had Dana from the engineer from Eisman calling me while I'm here. So, you know, he's asking me, can I use, instead of copper, can I use PEX? You know, he's asking all these questions, right? So that kind of, those things all add up. And when you have 100 homes plus 45 homes plus Hermosa Hills, another potentially 50 plus homes, you have 200 homes. So all those are going to add up in the next couple of years to a lot of questions, right? And then the questions lead to a permit application, which leads to the inspection fees, which then we calculate based on square footage.
So real quick, Anthony, I think that's a good overview of that position.
Yep.
Are there any other positions you'd like to kind of introduce to the board as far as possible, you know, Benish contributing to those positions? And
Yeah.
if we can do that, let's do that in the next 5 minutes, and we can.
Yeah, well, I'll just
Get wrapped
quickly
up.
touch on the other two. So, in terms of, so when a plat comes in, if it's got floodplain on the property, it automatically triggers a floodplain management, floodplain development permit, right? And so that would currently go to Elmer Claypool. The issue is bi-monthly, so every 2 weeks we have a meeting with FEMA for that direct technical assistance. And we also have, that's just the planning meetings, not to mention anything that would be in between it when you're trying to prepare for a grant, you're trying to prepare for an application. So somebody needs to be responsible for managing the couple years we have of this direct technical assistance and grants, right? I would think that Elmer is the more appropriate person to fill that role, given his history here in the town.
Elmer is not administrative, and I do not believe he would want to be. We have always handled grants in-house and never had a problem. This isn't the first grant we've ever had. We do all the reporting, we've never had a problem in the past. But as far as the IT meetings or the FEMA meetings, whenever floodplain is involved, we want Elmer at those meetings.
Yeah.
But not,
That's what I'm saying.
not in an administrative capacity to handle
No,
the
it-
reporting or the,
yeah, and it's not replacing your role in the administrative.
that's not my role.
Yeah, well, somebody needs to administer those grants.
Yes,
Those
that's, I
grants.
mean, that's what I'm saying, we have it pretty much handled. Jill can administer the grants. She has free help from Bridget at Headwaters. She has free help from Blair and Logan at State. She has free help from Katie and her team at FEMA. So there's
What-
no need to hire Elmer or anyone else to do those things. We're
And
getting
I
it
do
free.
want to add that I got asked by Cal to step down from that.
Actually, Jill, you did not get asked to do that.
You
I
kept
believe,
waiting for me to answer a yes or a no, and I finally answered yes.
I believe that was a misunderstanding.
What?
You answered what?
Yes, that I would step down from the project.
That was not my intention, Jill.
Well, then what was your intention? I'd like to hear it.
My intention was to recognize Joan for her her ongoing contributions to the grant thing, and to officially recognize her and kind of allow the board to decide to kind of let Joan oversee that.
That's why she's on board with this, because she's the expert.
Right, yeah,
Jill and I are a team, we work well together.
right, and there was never any, the whole thing was just a complete misunderstanding on your part, I must say, and,
Well, what were you talking, why were you even talking to me then? I don't understand. You
All right,
asked
well,
me
let's-
if I would step down from the role.
no, I didn't ask you that, so I
Can
think
we
we
just have an
can,
apology back and forth? to
well, I
kinda
think we
cut
can
the-
just move on and let Anthony finish, and then we can move on with the.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean,
apologize, Jill.
so, with that being said,
Elmer is also, I know that he doesn't say so anymore, but he is retired and he just keeps working for us anyway. And for most people that ask, I mean, so,
so I'll just let you know, so that what the role that I cannot play, right, would not like to play within the FEMA grants and direct technical assistance is, I do not want to be considered a part of the administration of those grants. And the reason is because it disqualifies me and Benish
Right.
from applying to be the engineer to design those projects. And so somebody with a floodplain background has to fill some aspect of those grants. And I saw when the team from FEMA 8 was here, that Elmer was filling that role. He knows the historical backgrounds of different floodplains. He knows when there was, so whatever his aspect of that is, it would be nice if, I mean, he doesn't need to work pro bono. I mean, he should be
no, he
compensated.
isn't.
And he probably
He is
would get
asked.
from,
No, we pay, I mean, he
yeah,
gets paid very well.
Yeah.
And he comes, whenever we've asked him to provide a service or come to a meeting, he does.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he
will do
doesn't.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, Headwaters
Mhm.
paid his full fee to do all these,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
and we will continue to use him
That's exactly what I'm
to
saying.
advise on those projects, but not for administratives.
Okay, so but on top of those duties that we just described, related to the grant and special seaters, related things that we have special to us. There's also the day-to-day floodplain related activities that come in, right? So somebody comes in, they need a shed, right? And I've been in these meetings, and the person that's trying to get a shed, they live in Ferguson Sub, there's a lot of things that go on. We have floodplain managers on staff at Benesh. So what I'm proposing is that when the day-to-day type stuff comes in, or when these big subdivisions come in that have these questions, that our floodplain management team can help them.
Okay, well, then you would have to ask Elmer to step down because he's taken the oath of office already to be the floodplain administrator for the town of Hermosa.
But all we're saying is the roles
We
of,
can't keep splitting roles, then who knows who's doing what?
so there's extra duties now for the quote floodplain manager of this town because of the grant. Am I wrong?
Not yet.
There will be, right?
Well,
We're trying to forecast this situation.
Elmer will be involved in any of those
All right,
that need to
well,
be done.
Also, you
Saying
said
going any
he's
places.
semi-retired, right?
Yeah.
So on top of that, is a gentleman who's semi-retired.
Well, let's just talk about, do you
So
have
that
another
was my
position?
proposal. I think it's a sound proposal, and it comes with a lot of people with a lot of experience, right? And so in that aspect that Elmer's getting reimbursed as well, the reimbursement comes through the FEMA and Headwaters program, so it's nice and clean as well.
That was for one project. That project is over. Now, as he moves forward and helps with other things, it's up to the town of Hermosa to once again pay him as the floodplain administrator.
To our floodplain expense account. I mean, we budget for that,
Right.
for his invoices.
I don't know if
Can I
I'm
comment on
clearly
something?
expressing what's,
At this point, can we agree that it's being covered at this point very well by the people that are there?
yeah.
And to keep this proposal in mind, should we get to a point where it's not being managed correctly? Or they need more help?
Or Elmer can't do it anymore.
Oh, right, or he's ready to
We have
retire
that
for
option.
good, because that time will be coming, but maybe just put that second title on.
So I guess what you're expecting to happen is that everything will continue as it's going, right? But that requires my input. So like, for example, in our last meeting in the for the FEMA grant, I needed to provide all the generator locations that we're gonna provide for an application, right? So how do I do that, right? That does take my time, right? So I'm trying to make it easy and affordable
Isn't
and
that the
fair for
general
everyone.
engineering?
What's that?
Doesn't that fall under general engineering?
How much are you gonna put under that 10,000?
Oh, no, we weren't saying that.
Do you understand? I'm trying to be
I mean, build that way
open and
rather than
honest with
create
you,
a new
but, and
title
I
for it.
absolutely wanna help and make sure all the project goes forward.
Right, but
But
I
I'm
think
trying to
that
lay
as
out a
long as
roadmap that can
you
happen.
know, you're putting these suggestions out here, give us time to think about it.
Yeah.
At another meeting, we can discuss it.
Cause like
again.
right now, I have to create a map for the next meeting, and I have to go to each generator location and verify each service size,
And any of that,
and then estimate the cost for
as
them.
I did mention at that meeting,
So-
you could contact Elmer for any elevations or anything you needed in those areas that he's already done the,
Calculated out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'd give that to you.
And I fully feel
Does he
anything that
attend
you do is above and beyond, that you need to be paid for them services.
Oh, absolutely.
I understand you're trying to do a contractual.
Yeah,
and
trying to
all
make it
all
so
together in one big
it's a simple.
lump, so that way there's an annual or a monthly salary that comes out. So your services now will be increased from town engineer to also administrator of the floodplain, also building inspector when needed, also to put all of that together in one lump and have a fee that we pay monthly for you to cover that circumstance. And I
Yeah, I
think
mean-
what they're asking is they're saying, right now, we do have Elmer, we do have Joan, we do have Jill that are doing a great job
That's
of
to
what they're
continue.
doing in their services.
Yep.
But if we are above and beyond, it's gonna be pay you above and beyond for
Yeah,
your
we're gonna
services.
try to throw everything.
Because you're great too. We can't afford to lose you and your company because you've taken us to another great level too. I may be speaking a little out of hand, but I'm just, what I've witnessed and seen is very appreciated, and your professionalism is awesome. But also, I've seen in Hill City and other areas, sometimes keeping localization is a good thing because we keep in touch with our own then that way and our own familiarities with our.
And if I can just say something, I mean, these are just ideas. It's not like we're gonna take anything from anybody or even talking about doing that. It's just, like he said, we're looking ahead to the future. We're gonna get some big developments coming in. The workload's gonna increase for everybody. This FEMA grant, it by itself is gonna chew up a bunch of time. And so is there something that they can do to fill in the gaps? That's all we're talking about here, okay, guys? So I know, I understand
I
that,
think there are several things, you know, but we just need to lay it out item by item kind of and see.
right, and that's
who
what
can
we're.
best do what.
Right, and that's what we're doing right now. And real quick, just so they're on the recording, we also talked about on-call operations for the treatment plant. And I think you probably covered the on-call P and Z with talking
Yeah.
about Neil.
Yep.
And so those are the things that we had discussed about possibly putting before the board, looking ahead, because everything's been moving quickly up to this point. We're kind of in a lull with waiting for things to be completed. And then everything's gonna start moving quickly again once these developments start rolling and everything. So we do need to, you know, he's an engineer, so he's looking ahead, seeing problems that may arise and trying to find possible solutions. So, you know, and I
Nothing
appreciate,
wrong with that.
yes,
I
ma'am.
never look for nothing.
Right, and I appreciate everybody's input, but we're, you know, 20 minutes past the 10-minute limit, so if, I mean, we don't normally do items from citizens during work sessions, do we?
Well, just a comment.
Okay.
On his inspection part of it now, is that gonna include water sewer also, if Mr. Ferguson can't get to it, that was
Yes.
in your building inspections? The $65, what I'm calculating, like, let's say a 1,500 square foot, would be roughly 162, 165 bucks per
No.
inspection, which isn't out of line, because,
No, it's more than that. It's 65 cents a square foot. So
Oh,
1,500 square feet is
okay.
$975.
all right, that's where, but I'm trying
Code
to
Works
figure
is
out,
like
because in
62
the
bucks.
past, on our building permits,
That's not.
we would be in
Jill's-
that $260 per permit to have a pre-inspection, inspection, footings, foundation, rough in, and then do what we did as far as the occupancy
Yep.
certificate on that. And if that then is built in, is what the girls already are doing,
Yeah,
then that 260 or 300, and then if there's floodplain involved, then you had 1,000 to 1,500 more that could be involved in the floodplain administration permit because of what you were involved there. So, and that's all, and then what you're putting together then is a contractual amount of what your monthly fee would be to cover them services, if the town wanted to cover them services or entertain
Yeah.
them services then?
Yeah,
Is that
there's-
what you're saying?
yeah, there's some stuff that's hard to charge because they're inquiries, they're general questions, they're sending you plans and you have to spend time reviewing them, right? It's
Right.
time. So the $10,000 over a year, right? Is not a lot of money. So what you're talking about is you have these, whatever, 5-6 hours per month, right?
Yeah.
8 hours per month that get eaten up in those types of things, right? Same thing with the floodplain management on call. So like that's kind of what I know I'm being asked to spend to help these projects along, and I'm happy to do that. But at a certain point, I got to report to a company, right, that I work for, and so I'm trying to make that compartmentalized so that it's budgeted, it's in the town's finances, and it's
Yeah.
everything's taken care of. So.
Yeah, Leo had a comment and then Joan.
Actually, must have been the light coming through the window, I thought, when I took my picture. But the reason I came to the meetings is I wanted to just clarify a point. And that's that a couple months ago, I was told that the town would get a digging permit before they dug on across my field. And I'm just wondering, I haven't seen that on the agenda, but I see they're getting ready to trench that water line in. And so, for liability reasons, I will not allow a private contractor come onto my property without a building permit, which puts the onus of the liability on the town.
Digging from that, you mean?
digging permit, dirt moving, what did I say, building permit? I meant digging permit, yeah.
Yeah.
And so just, I mean, I'm serious about it because there's too much liability there.
All right, thank
And
you,
it should be
Leo.
there. I mean,
Joan?
I just want to quickly mention that years ago, we had an engineer who was also the floodplain administrator. And I'm here to tell you that things go much faster and much smoother that way. However, then we had an engineer who refused to be the floodplain administrator, and that's when we hired Elmer. So I'm not, I guess as I think over it, I'm not saying there can't be a division of duties here, but because everything did move much faster when we had the same person doing both.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt to just ask Elmer, you know, his future plans of retirement so that we can plan accordingly.
True.
See what he thinks about handing over.
Our fight.
And just so I can let you know, the objective is to keep Elmer, not to get rid of Elmer. So my objective is to find, to identify that scope of work that's the most appropriate for him versus my staff. And that is the role that he's compensated for his time.
I'd love to
Because
see
of his
it divided all
experience.
up
Well, it's,
for us.
I mean, the same applies with operations and with Chuck, right? So there's things that
Sure.
he knows about this town that I'll never know, right? And so that's when you try to because those are assets to the town, be it Elmer, be it Chuck, and whoever. And so,
At some point, he is gonna wanna
but at the
retire
same,
though.
yeah, but exactly.
And
And at the same time, you can't tax those assets beyond their capabilities, or then they won't be able to do anything for you, right? So as long as it's done efficiently, then all I'm saying is that my company can fill in those gaps that potentially form when we get all this development.
Blown apart.
So
Exactly.
could I assume that a good division would be all planning and zoning items would be yours, and commercial and major floodplain development would be Elmer's?
So we could have like our understanded scope and how we
Hey,
do
you
that.
guys, we could take this conversation offline, but we're extending the
Okay,
meeting,
sorry.
so that's fine. I mean, so I think that pretty much covers it for public items from citizens. So let's do the trustee input. Shanna, did you have any input?
yeah, so, when we do become second class, it's our option to move up, to second class once we hit 500 in current census population. And then at that time, we can look at having a mayor and a city manager, and I just don't recall what all other things you have to have if you choose to become second.
Right.
Now that we no longer have our law enforcement and we no longer have, you know, there's some things that I think are expected that you will have as a second class municipality.
Planning commission's one of them.
And planning commission, yeah. And when was the last census, do you remember? Is it on the 10 year? So 2000, 2010, 20?
20 is,
So it'll
yeah.
be 30.
Yeah.
So that's something to definitely look into our future growth plan by 2030.
Yep. Yep.
That we definitely will be if all these subdivisions are growing. I mean,
Yeah.
at one point, we were at 492, and that was 10 years ago, but then growth just stopped, and, you know, people been coming and going and whatnot. So that's my input. It is coming down the pipe.
Yep. Okay, Donna?
I'm not commenting.
All right,
Thanks for being here.
very
You
good.
haven't said nothing.
Linda?
I don't have it. I'm
Yeah.
absorbing.
I just wanted to thank you for heading the meeting up, and Anthony and everybody for being there, and for everybody's input. I think that although it's not been easy discussions, a lot of it, it's all been good, and thank everybody. Give us some time to think about it, and we'll be back on it.
Yep. All right, my input is I'd just like to apologize to Jill for the misunderstanding and then for my, the way that I spoke to her at the meeting. You know, I probably could have handled that better. And so, Jill, I apologize for that interaction. So anyways, With that, I'd like to request a motion to adjourn. Anybody? I'll make it. Okay, well, let's get out of here.
Darn it.